Next, presenting for Team Pellet, please welcome Elias Kagabo, who hails from Rwanda and is now working towards his undergraduate degree in biomedical engineering at Trinity College in the United States. Hi, Elias, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing really well. So are you currently in Rwanda or the US?
In Rwanda.
Yeah, are you on lockdown in Rwanda?
Yes, but it's gonna end by Monday.
Rock and roll. You're earlier than us here in Michigan. Well, we are looking forward to hearing your presentation today. The floor is all yours. Take it away.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. As the moderator said, my name is Elias Kagabo, and I'm speaking from Rwanda. I am also representing Pellet Group, and today I will share with you our plan that intends to empower farmers through proper waste disposal. So our agenda today starts with a bit of background, problem definition. I will then talk about our approach. I will continue with our implementation plan and finally impact assessment. So Rwanda, with its surface area of 10.1 thousand square miles, expects its population to double from 11 million to 22 million by 2050. In Rwanda, 80% of the population are directly involved in agriculture, when this sector contributes only 30% to the country's GDP. Talking about agriculture, the demand for fertilizer is very high, and it amounted to 49,000 megatons just in 2019. At the same time, waste disposal is still a big issue, where the only single landfill had become a hub for disease pathogens and a cause for environmental pollution. So there's still people living near the only landfill that we have, as shown in this picture, and they're constantly complaining because of the challenge they face due to this poorly designed landfill that is situated close to them. So from this, we've identified three main problems. The first one being the lack of proper waste disposal. The second being poor crop yield, and the third being the over-dependence on imported inorganic fertilizers. So our motivation comes from these three wicked problems and the idea of circular economy. And we want to tackle these three problems at once. We propose to collect organic waste from restaurants and residences in Kigali and process them into organic fertilizers in form of pellets. So we recognize that farmers are currently using inorganic fertilizers as well as compost, but these types have drawbacks. For instance, inorganic fertilizers require frequent application. They destroy existing soil microorganisms when used frequently, and they're definitely expensive for Rwandan farmers. On the other hand, compost takes forever to be ready for use. It can actually take about 12 to 16 weeks to be ready for use. And this compost can also result in disease pathogens when used with people who don't have enough skills. So why organic pellets? Organic pellets favor complete cycle of nutrients. They promote beneficial microorganisms in the soil. They also stay longer in soil, meaning you don't need to apply them frequently. And they are also environmentally friendly since they contain naturally occurring nutrients. So our technical approach starts with collection of organic waste. We take them into our processing facility. Then pellets are produced and packed and also sent to the storehouse where the farmers can come get them. So what is the process like? So we take the raw materials, we dry them to about 70 degrees, and they're then allowed to cool down to the room temperature. The powder that gets from grinding process is mixed up and it enters the pelletizer machine to make pellets. So how do we get raw materials? We conducted a case study where we surveyed 100 families in Gasabo district to determine their compliance. We asked them questions like, do you accumulate organic waste? Would you give us organic waste if we gave you buckets to put them in? Would you be willing to welcome our collectors to come pick them up? Then we assessed the extent to which they will be willing to segregate the waste. The results showed that 93% of the attendees that accumulate organic waste, and 49% are willing to separate the waste. So to collect the raw materials, we plan to start with 300 households and give 1 bucket to each household and 2 larger buckets to restaurants. 2 trucks with 2-ton capacity, and these trucks are actually made in Rwanda. We collect waste from those households and take them to the processing facility. We plan to produce 2 tons every week, and for that we will need to collect 5 tons of raw material, since the ratio of raw material to final product is 6:4, meaning in 100 kilograms of raw material, we will get 40 kilograms of final product. Then we'll add in crop residues such as beans residues to enrich the fertilizer with nutrients like nitrogen. So to confirm the feasibility of this business, we ran a prototype at FU University in Costa Rica, where we collected organic waste and made pellets from them. To study the efficacy of this fertilizer, we planted maize with this organic fertilizer. We also planted maize with inorganic NPK. Then we had the control of maize that was planted with no fertilizer at all. At the end of harvest, we realized a 50% increase in yield for maize planted with organic pellets compared to maize planted with no fertilizer. To implement our business, we first had to register our business as a company with the Rwanda Development Board, and we have already received the certificate, as you can see in this slide. So we are allowed to function as a company in Rwanda, and we are allowed to operate in the specified location. So we have already started with equipment acquisition, where we are now working with Henan Gate, a professional manufacturer of fertilizer production lines. We worked with them on the specifications for several machines, such as grinder, pellet making and packaging machine, as well as the fertilizer mixer that is shown in this slide. And we're also working on a layout for the entire production line. So we are also speaking with potential markets about our fertilizer. As of right now, One Eco Fund, an NGO that funds and promotes small farmers in Rwanda, has agreed to buy from us. Kawaya Cooperative, a coffee plantation cooperative, has agreed to try our fertilizer once we start producing. Additionally, we are targeting 3 communities, namely Murindi, Kabuga, and Masaka, that neighbor our processing facility. These communities practice subsistence agriculture, and they will be our first market. As of our market strategy, we are already talking with the Rwanda Agriculture Board, which is an implementation agency for the Ministry of Agriculture, so that they can help us reach bigger markets. We also plan to use radio and TV adverts to attract more customers. Our goal is to export the surplus of our fertilizer to the East African community once we scale up. So our competitors are Grow Joy Emerging Rwanda and Massa Rwanda Limited. But these companies only supply inorganic fertilizers. So our competitive advantages are that our product is low priced, where we plan to be selling our product at $80 per a bag of 20 kilograms compared to $11.6 compared to our competitors. Additionally, we are close to the market, and our customers don't have to travel a long distance to get the fertilizer. We also have in place a farmer-centered care that is founded on provision of free training on the use of our fertilizer. With our solution, farmers will access fertilizer that is 35% cheaper than synthetic fertilizer. Our business will provide employment to 5 Rwandans in the beginning and many more when we scale up. Based on the results from our prototype, our fertilizer will increase crop yield by 50%. To improve waste disposal in Kigali, it will also reduce environmental pollution as well as a reduction of agriculture-related imports in Rwanda. Our initial capital is $23,974. We have the capacity to produce 96 tons within the first year. The projected revenues in the first year are 38,000, and the net profit amounts to $13,700. In the second year, the output will be 107 tons, and the net profit will be 33,000. The calculated dividend point is approximately 3,000 bags, meaning 60 bags and 60 tons. And the return on investments is going to be 57% in the first year and 107 in the second year. The payback period is going to be 1 year and 4 months. So our first source of capital is our personal saving, which is 10K now that we've put together so far. We are also targeting a loan from BDF. We also plan to engage investors once we scale up. Indeed, we actually need $13,974 to start. So I would like to thank Professor Pellet, Dr. Barayavuga, Engineer Jack Wamahoro, and the Wege Prize team for the assistance. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Elias and Team Pellet. Fantastic presentation, so informative, incredible. We're going to give the judges a minute or two to talk amongst themselves, and we have a question for you. Read a bit about you and saw that you had a chance to meet both the Rwandan president, Paul Kagame, and former U.S. President Bill Clinton. So tell us about that and tell us about how those opportunities came about.
So I first talk about my meeting with the president of Rwanda was through a program in Rwanda that prepares the best talented Rwandan students to go compete for international scholarships, and that's how I ended in the United States. I didn't have money to take myself there as well, so I met him through his commissioning when he was commissioning myself and my other few students who were selected to get the scholarship to go to study in the United States and in the Europe. So for my meeting with the former president, Bill Clinton, was through my own project that was intending to reduce unintended teenage pregnancies in Rwanda. So I met him when I went to present my project at the Clinton Global Initiative University in Chicago. So that's how I met him.
Incredible. That's incredible. Well, thank you for your work on that. Looks like our judges are ready, so we're going to hand it over to them for some Q&A. Good luck.
Okay, so I think Mike.
Oh. Good. Okay. All right. We're going to keep chatting while the judges keep chatting. Judges, you need a couple more minutes? Are you ready for Elias to be ready for your rapid fire questions? Good. Thumbs up. All right. Okay, there we go. Thanks, Alicia. Take it away.
Mind if I jump in first?
Yeah, go ahead, Mike.
Oh, well, great presentation, and thank you for all of your great work throughout the competition. So I noticed that you had said you need to produce 2 tons of fertilizer per week, so you will need to collect 5 tons of food waste per day. With just some quick math, I think you were talking about prototyping with 100 buckets. So 100 buckets, that's 100 pounds of food per day per bucket. Is that accurate, or is that 100 buckets just a very early prototype concept with one community? I'm struggling because 100 pounds of food waste per household per day is a lot of waste. So could you help me understand how you will achieve that 5-ton collection per day?
All right. Thanks first for catching that. So that was a mistake that is in the slide. So it was supposed to be a 5 tons per week. And
Per week.
As we start, we're not going to start with 100 buckets. It's 300 buckets. And we saw that that was possible from the survey that we did, since some of the waste providers are going to be restaurants and others are going to be just households. So from restaurants, we'll be able to accumulate more waste. So it was a mistake. It was just a mistake.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I'll turn it over to my other judges, but come back if I have another question and if we have time.
Elias, I'll jump in. So my question is, how does your organic fertilizer compare to inorganic fertilizer in your study that you did of yield of maize?
So just for the yield, the increase in yield was similar, was the same for organic fertilizer and for inorganic fertilizer. So what is different for our case and the implementation in Rwanda is that our inorganic fertilizer will be cheaper for Rwandans. It will improve soil fertility, and it will be easier just to use, because the compost that is being used in Rwanda right now just cause problems, and some of the waste is actually not used for the compost. But for just the yield, as you asked, there was no significant difference between the yield increase for inorganic fertilizer and for organic fertilizer.
Thank you. That's a good result, though. Like, I'm impressed. I'm impressed that the actual performance is on par with the current market alternative. So that's excellent.
Right. And I wanted to commend you. I really liked your breakdown of how you were picking up the waste. The vehicle looked pretty cool. And
those ones are made in Rwanda.
I was like, all right, it's Rwandan made. And I was wondering, so was that completely figured out in terms of your costs on the refitting of all these vehicles, and how many do you need? I wasn't really clear on that. I think it's a great idea. I love it. But could you give me some more information about that?
Yes, yeah. So since we have limited source of capital as we start, we decided to start with those ones. And I mentioned that they have the capacity to carry 2 tons. And now that they are made in Rwanda and we've seen where they make them, we have the ability to customize them so that they can meet the capacity that I want. But we have already figured out the cost that will take us to get them.
Okay. All right. Excellent.
I have a quick question. Elias, congratulations and for taking on such a big problem. And I really appreciate the extensive testing and prototyping that you've done, especially into the alternatives. If I understand correctly, you add nitrogen and potassium in your cycle. Is that correct?
Yes.
So my question is, what are the sources of that nitrogen and potassium? And do you anticipate any problems when you scale of continuous supply of the additives that you put in, especially if your competition, the current fertilizer manufacturers want to disrupt what you're doing?
So for the source of nitrogen and potassium as well, are going to be from crop residues that are discarded and burnt in Rwanda. For instance, beans residues, like Rwandans cultivate a lot of beans because we actually eat a lot of beans than anything else. So those leguminous plants, such as beans residues, soya residues, and other residues that come from plantain, which translate to banana trees, those have a large amount of nitrogen and potassium that we'll need. So we'll add those from those crop residues that will come from farmers that will be supplying our fertilizer too.
That's much clearer. Thank you very much.
Question from me, Elias. I think we're all sold on the idea of what you're doing and its potential that it has, and we can see some of the financials that you put in as well, all looking very impressive. guess the big question beyond the product is how you actually get it into the hands of farmers. How do you convince them that this is something they should be using? And I know in your tech submission, you're talking about social media. Got to say, I've got my doubts about that. So please convince us.
That's a very good question. And so we are lucky that on our team we have two agricultural scientists, and one of them is actually is already now working with farmers through his internship with one eco fund, and he gets time to spend with farmers, and that's how we need. We'll be able to get our product in the hands of farmers, because we want to just talk to them directly, and that's why we have established a training center at our a storehouse where we'll be having our fertilizer, so that we can just give more information to the customers who are farmers as well. And the next tech that we are doing will be through those radio adverts, but we're also working with one director from the Rwanda Agricultural Board, which is an implementation agency for the Ministry of Agriculture, so that they can help us give this information to the larger population. And that's how we need to start. And we're also engaging the news reporters, so that we can get to talk on TV and write about our product, so that we can have farmers understand this, because this is going to be a behavioral change challenge that we have to do. And even segregating the waste, we also have to, to do a lot of spread of information, so that people can understand what we are doing. But we've already started.
I think a news piece is good, but it's like a one-hit wonder, isn't it? It makes an impact, but then it's gone, and it's yesterday's news, to coin the phrase. So it's interesting that you're working with the Agricultural Board. I think you need something that keeps the product in people's minds forever. Maybe that relationship with the Agricultural Board could be a starting point for you.
Right. Thank you. Thank you for that.
Maybe I'll jump back in with another question for you, Elias. You said you need to sell 60 tons in year one to break even. What is your expected sales volume of fertilizer in year one?
In year one?
Yeah, you said that you need to, in order to break even, you need to sell 60 tons. Do you have commitments for 60 tons? Or if not, what commitments do you have from farmers right now?
So we have two NGOs that will be setting with them. So the other NGO that works with farmers has already agreed to try our fertilizer once we start producing. So we'll be able to say at least 96 tons.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
All right.